Melville is best known now because he is seen as the leader of the radical Protestants within the Scottish Church, who were in continuous conflict with the King, James VI, over precisely how the church should be run, how precisely it should be governed. For fairly obvious reasons, the King, James, was attracted to an English model in which, through the royal supremacy, he, as the monarch, would be recognised as head or governor of the church in Scotland. He was also, again for quite obvious reasons, I think, attracted to the idea of an episcopal system in which he appointed bishops who ran the diocese into which the church was divided, and who in turn had authority over the parish ministry. That's a far more attractive way of running the church for James or any other monarch than that being proposed by Andrew Melville, which is a fully fledged Presbyterian system in which church and state are completely separate, in which the only hierarchy within the church is a hierarchy of courts, from kirk sessions, presbyteries, synods to the General Assembly. And that is a sort of self-contained ecclesiastical polity in which ministers run the church themselves along with lay elders. And James frequently says that this is introducing democratic tendencies into the church, which in the 16th and 17th century world are quite anathema. And not surprisingly, in the course of his reign, particularly in the 1590s and after his accession to the English throne when Elizabeth dies in 1603, he is trying very hard to tame the Presbyterians, if you like, and to reimpose a form of episcopacy that would bring the church far more under royal control than it had been in the past. And for the most part, he's successful in this. What emerges in Scotland in the 1610s and 20s is a hybrid system, actually, in which royally appointed bishops preside over presbyteries, which are made up of the local ministers in the regional, in the parishes of that region. So kirk sessions continue to exist in every parish. Presbyteries continue to function as a way of overseeing those kirk sessions. But rather than there being an autonomous ecclesiastical hierarchy, James reintroduces bishops who are moderators, if you like, of the presbyteries. And this hybrid system does actually seem to work. What becomes much, much more contentious is the attempt that James makes to alter the liturgy, to change the forms of worship in the Scottish Church. Some would argue by bringing them much more closely into conformity with English practice. So, for example, James tries to introduce the idea of kneeling to take communion, which is something that hadn't really been practiced in the Scottish Church since the Reformation, which Knox had been adamantly opposed to, and which was seen in Scotland after 1617, when he tries to introduce it, as an attempt to Anglicanize the Scottish Church. And this, over time, together with other policies pursued by James's son, Charles I, would result in major conflicts between the Scots and the monarchy. That's taken you up to the 1630s.